Hashtag psychotherapy unfogged with Mark Fielding.
Hello, welcome to the final episode of Series 5, hashtag Psychotherapy Unfogged. And eagle-eyed listeners and eagle-eyed watchers will recognise Joe is on the call today. Joe and I are going to be looking back at Series 5 and, having a look at some of the individual episodes. And also we're going to hit the post bag today. And we've never really done this on the show, and we're going to be answering some of the questions we've had from our listeners. So should be quite a popular episode, Joe. They're always popular when you're on.
Has an
So
impact.
how are you doing, Joe?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Been busy with other stuff. Obviously still doing the production side of the podcast, the editing and everything. Um, I can't believe that we've hit the end of season 5.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing, isn't it?
crazy. Everything like coming up on Facebook memories and stuff of like season 1 and season 3 and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
1 year ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, got got quite far, done really well. It's getting more and more traction. Looking forward to seeing what we can bring for season 6,
Mm, mm,
especially now with all the stuff we have in. Well, we've now got stuff like AI and stuff that can kind of help generate more interest and more
yeah.
ideas and everything. So hopefully we can expand our marketing and increase our viewership.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, and in particular, I think with the YouTube channel, which is not, it's not really doing brilliantly. So I guess that's something, Joe, we can have a look at. The audio
Yeah,
channel continues to do really well, doesn't it? The YouTube channel's not doing terribly, but yeah, it needs to probably catch up really. But we've only got a series and a half on there anyway, haven't we, at the moment, YouTube? It's
yeah.
a fairly new project. I mean, do you have any kind of outstanding shows from season 5? Are there any shows that you particularly we're drawn into, Joe, from
We have to
memory?
go back and look at what episodes
Yeah,
we had.
we've done 21. We've done quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, looking back at the episodes, we've covered quite a lot. We've had some guests back on, like we had um, what's his name back on, Carlos back on, which was
yeah,
good.
yeah,
It was nice to have Giovanna and the cast of Master of
yeah,
Darkness on,
was.
covering LGBTQI plus
Mm,
as well was a good episode with
yeah,
having returning guests as well on that with
yeah,
Jess coming back on and discussing a different topic.
yeah,
Neurodivergence is pretty good.
yeah. That was a good one. Yeah.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I'm looking at them all, and as I always say, at the end, they all the guests have been brilliant, all the shows have been brilliant, but I'm just kind of looking through and I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, early on we did eating disorders and families, which I thought was a really, really good one with, a guest, is so experienced, in that area. I have to say, relationship with nature. I always try and get one of those in on the show. This was a really good one. We had the guest. I think I'm blocking on his name, but he was such a brilliant guest. Kind of ecotherapist, which we've not had on. We've kind of had forest bathers on before, which is equally fantastic.
Yeah,
Recovering
Hawk and
from
Heath have been on a few times.
yeah, who?
Hawk and Heath, the people from behind that
Yes,
have been, they're always pretty good guests.
yeah, yeah.
Um, what's do you feel has been the most impactful episode for yourself and why?
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe, on losing a child. I mean, I mean, the guest kindly kind of got in touch with us, really wanted to, come on the show, been following the show. I mean, understandably, such a massive, emotive subject, and so marvelous that he could come on and, share his experiences. Yeah, the whole show I just found to be really, really moving. So I think that was a really, really important one. I mean, other ones, I mean, also pet end of life care and euthanasia. I mean, that's a subject that is not really covered, and again, loss and very, very emotive, and also kind of agreeing with you, really. I mean, I really liked like Jess relationships in the LGBTQ community. I mean, having Carlos Vasquez on again as well. What is it? Warrior in the Garden, Seven Rules for Men. Brilliant. He's such a
Yeah.
great guest, isn't he? I could have him on the next
The
show
fact
if
that
he brings another book out. Yeah,
we've covered topics that aren't always around humans because pets,
yeah,
obviously humans can have impacts on each other and mental health and everything can have impact on each other, but losing pets and stuff can obviously have an impact on yourself as well because they're still technically like family members as
definitely,
well.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean we've covered actually. I mean, as we have in some of our other series, we've covered loss quite a lot. We also had our last episode, the power of oh sorry, our last episode, the power of grief, and that was the last episode we did, which I thought again was was around loss and such a really great episode, and so so wonderful of guests to come on and talk about their experiences with loss. I mean, also other ones that I really liked experiencing PTSD after an affair. And also recovering from the affair. We've done two shows on recovery from an affair and the mental health crisis that can ensue from, from being in a relationship where there's been an affair. I thought they were really important. And also the polyamory. We've had two guests on talking about polyamory and, such an important growing area. And I thought the guests were amazing both, with their own individual takes and their own individual experience. But I thought they were really, really important shows. Yeah,
Yeah, we've definitely kind of kept up to date, especially this season. I feel like we've been a bit more up to date with current trends and current mental health related topics, and the fact that we've covered relationships as well, which is
yeah,
obviously can kind of mold your mental health in a way, like in terms of if you have a breakup, it can impact your mental health. Those around you can shape your mental health sometimes. Not being around the right people can impact your mental
definitely.
health.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, which guest do you feel left the most lasting impression on you this season?
Oh goodness, I'm just looking through the episodes.
What was an episode where you came away and were like, oh wow, okay. I
Yeah,
need
yeah, I mean, I think the relationship with neurodivergence. I mean,
yeah,
again, another really, really important episode, and kind of, talk and, society really kind of connecting with, neurodiversity is kind of growing. So, and I thought the guest was amazing. I thought he was fantastic. Came on, talked about his own experience of having AUDHD, and also his work, working with neurodivergent clients. I thought that was a really, really great one, and that really, really stayed with me. And we've kind of
yeah,
stayed in touch a little bit over LinkedIn. And also, I think the relationship with Ayurveda, I really liked. It's our first guest from India. And yeah, I just thought that was a really, really interesting episode. And kind of, I'd really like to maybe get some more guests on from continents where
yeah.
maybe we haven't had guests on before. So that was a really great one, I
We do
think.
have a worldwide
Mm.
listening, like
Yeah,
the US, Australia, UK, even places like Germany and stuff. We've got guests, oh, not guests, sorry, listeners, which is incredible to think those, even not English, non-English speaking countries, we've got guests and or listeners,
yeah. It's
which
amazing
is
when you look down the list, isn't it? And you
yeah,
see, and we've got a lot of listeners from the USA as well, haven't we, Ashley?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Let me see. Many listeners have asked about practical tips for managing stress. Can you share some that weren't covered in the episodes this season?
Yeah, I mean that's a really kind of big subject, but I would say, kind of box breathing is, I mean, I'm not going to go into them, but I mean, if our listeners can just Google that, box breathing is a really, really easy way in order to kind of calm your nervous system down. And I think mindfulness. I mean, I
Yeah.
use a lot of mindfulness, and just kind of going back to the shows. I mean, we've had two shows, one with Debbie Hampton and another one with the guest called Will, who did music and mindfulness. I think mindfulness can be brilliant for stress, present moment focus, training your mind, training your attention through meditation and other mindfulness practices in order to not kind of build catastrophic thinking. So I think kind of those two really being in the body as well, things like body scan, really kind of focusing on the body and being grounded. But I think the strategies, often depend, well, mostly depend on the client really, and with different clients, different things are going to appeal. But I think those things really.
Can you share any behind the scenes moments or challenges we faced while producing this season?
We're trying to organize some of the episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, some of the episodes have taken like a mammoth effort to organize,
yeah,
guests cancelling, things happening, IT problems, so I guess
yeah,
the listeners don't see those. I mean, some of these guests, and of course some of these guests are really busy as well. I mean,
yeah,
the guest that the lady came on to talk about the power of grief. I mean, she's done TED Talks and all sorts. A lot of these guests are very busy. To try to pin them down to a time to get them on the show, I think that has been, sometimes a little bit kind of more challenging, something that the listeners and
yeah.
the viewers don't see really.
Um, how has hosting this podcast impacted your understanding of mental health? Because obviously you're a psychotherapist and relationship counselor, so you've got your knowledge that you've learned from training and your own work. Is there anything in the topic that you feel's impacted your understanding?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I think I've probably, well, I mean, I've definitely learned from every single guest that came on, talking about all of their areas. I mean, if I had to pick one, I mean, I do work a lot with couples, that are in kind of non-monogamous relationship models. So, that's not new to me, but I have to say, having the two guests coming on talking about polyamory, I mean, I really did learn a lot from their personal experience. And
Yeah,
it's an area, I do work with, but I learned a lot from both of the guests. So, and also I think the relationship with the subconscious. That was one of the early ones, and we had on Jo. Jo's a hypnotherapist, and she has a whole kind of hypnotherapy strategy for dealing with trauma. So I kind of learned a lot from her as well. But really from all, I guess, Debbie Hampton, another one.
yeah.
Even though I know a great deal about mindfulness, I kind of learned quite a lot from reading her book. So yeah.
I've definitely found that I've learned a lot. I'm obviously not in the mental health field, but other than personal experience, that's pretty much my knowledge of mental health is what we've learned from the season and well, what we've learned from over the seasons and my own personal mental health, and then anyone around me. But listen
Mm,
to the episodes, you learn a lot, and I definitely find
mm,
people saying it's amazing how self-aware you are of stuff, especially your own personal mental health. And I think I've gained that from learning from other people about their mental health.
definitely. Yeah.
And you learn
Yeah.
a lot of tips.
Yeah. And I guess a mix of, and this is also true for me. I mean, a mix of personal experience and also kind of learning from others, really. It's a mix. I mean, is there any one show for you, Joe, that you felt you learned a great deal from? I mean, looking back at the shows, I mean, is there a subject that we covered that maybe you didn't know that much about that you've kind of taken a lot from?
I think a lot of the episodes I
Mm,
have, to be honest. I mean, other than the most obvious ones that most people would know about, like anxiety and bipolar and ADHD and stuff.
yeah.
Even those, I find myself learning new things about it every day,
Mm,
or every time we do an episode on them. But a lot of the topics that we covered this season, I didn't really know much about. But I find myself learning a lot each episode.
yeah.
And then obviously furthering knowledge on the ones I already know about, like anxiety and bipolar,
Mm,
ADHD,
yeah.
um, a bit of neurodivergency and stuff, because I studied um, individual support as well. So a lot of that you have to learn about mental health and neurodivergency.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I guess our work, back in the Stone Age with, the baked bean
Yeah,
company, I know yeah, I mean, we obviously both learned a lot, got quite good
yeah,
grounding, there really. Yeah. I mean, it has been really an amazing show. And yeah, keeping to the brief relationships, I'm really, really glad that we were able to cover relationships, well, I mean, we really kind of expanded the brief. But things like relationship with nature, I mean, just going back to that one, it's a subject I love, but the guest, Simon, wow, it's so knowledgeable, when he was talking about the work he does in Cornwall and his ecotherapy work. Yeah, I thought that was a brilliant episode. Yeah, I really like that. So
Yeah.
we'll probably have somebody else on talking about relationship and nature in
Um,
series 6. Yeah.
what's your favorite piece of feedback that you've received from either a listener or a guest in the podcast?
Yeah, I've had quite a lot of really, really good feedback. I guess the feedback that I've had is guests really liking the show, really, really liking the guests. I've had a lot of feedback from fellow professionals
Yeah.
who kind of subscribe to the show and just really, really really like the content, the fact that the content is so varied. That's, I think, probably the most feedback I've had that from other professionals that they really like it, that we move around and talk about so many different things. Well, what about you? What kind of feedback have
Yeah,
you
I
had,
feel
Joe?
like I think the fact that we've got that uniqueness of having a bit of both, we have the lived experience and the personal
Mm,
experience. And those that do have the professional experience, they have their own personal experience with mental health. Obviously being the producer and stuff, I get all the feedback comments and stuff
mm,
on Spotify and
mm.
we could actually see if I can find some of them. Have a look, comments. No. Um, we've had great interview on delicate topic, pet with the pet end of life and euthanasia,
Yeah,
eating disorders. We've had a comment from Geraldine saying so true to have to agree, getting used to the idea we carry as a mother or a daughter who has a eating disorder over 20 years, no support here in Limerick for parents. So someone all the way in Ireland.
yeah, fantastic.
Season finale that was last year, I think. Loved it. The interview we had with Jack Binstead a couple like season ago, fantastic. Loved this show. Dealing with the loss of a pet. This is a must listen to podcast. Thank you to Reno for all you do for pet loss guardians.
Yeah,
And Dan Hill, who was with the interview with director and cast members of
yeah,
Marks of Darkness.
yeah.
Such a pleasure having the opportunity to be on your show. You're a brilliant host, Mark.
That's nice.
Yeah,
I'll
even just
take that.
people, we do have one of those in Australia that follow AFL. We have Blake Howes from AFL Football Club follows the podcast now. Like I met him
Wow.
a few months ago he represented my partner at the women's breast cancer game. He wore her name on his t-shirt. So we got the opportunity to meet him, and he was really lovely, and he spent a lot of time with us. And subscribe to the podcast. We're gonna try
Ooh.
and get him on at some point.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah. Because we did have somebody, we had a coach and trainer, didn't we, from AFL on who
Yeah, we had Jack. I can't remember what his
that's
surname is.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, because I've had a lot of involvement with the football club this year. I've met them a few times, been to a few events and stuff. So it'd be good to get someone like that on. Is there any guests particularly like you can think of that you would like on the podcast that you feel would be a good guest to have on?
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, I mean it'd be good to get some more influencers on. I guess, it's always good to I mean I'd probably like to get, a few more influencers on talking about their experience of, kind of celebrity and,
Yeah,
being well known and, and spending a lot of time, having a lot of visibility online and, the positives and negatives. Yeah, I mean that I can't think of any guest in particular, but be really
yeah.
good to get some more influencers on. I think just to really talk about their experiences, being living on social media kind of effectively.
Yeah,
Yeah. What
I
about
think
you?
yeah, I agree. I think someone with some status and someone maybe in the media industry or someone in the like sports or something like that. Someone that's got
Mhm.
some like celebrity status and stuff.
Yeah,
Because I think sometimes people forget that they're also human and that they
yeah,
experience emotions and
yeah,
um, it's almost like people become shocked when they show that they have emotions because it's
yeah.
almost like they're these robots in high society and stuff that everyone views as these icons and everything. That'd be
Definitely.
good to have them like that on.
Yeah, to kind of humanize. Yeah, that's an area I'd really like to cover. I think in series two, we had two guests coming on talking about social media. I think it was series two from memory, which was good. But that is something I'd really like to cover. But it's just always difficult, isn't it? I mean, people in the public eye are so busy, but we've not done badly, have we? I mean, we've had a
No.
few kind of celebs on, haven't we? I mean,
Yeah,
just thinking of two, Drew Wakely from the Midnight Beast and Jack Binstead. So
yeah,
yeah, so hopefully we can kind of continue that. Yeah,
yeah. I'm hoping maybe once my film stuff gets going, if I have anyone on board as cast, I'll try and get them on the podcast.
yeah. And I really and Mask just going back to Mask of Darkness with Giovanna, that was a great episode. That was a really popular episode in terms of
Yeah,
numbers as well. Yeah, it's always so nice to get
it
Giovanna on
was
the show.
a very beautiful film too.
Yeah,
Um, like anyone that hasn't, if you do get the opportunity, I'm not sure where it is at the moment. I'll have to follow up with Giovanna. If you do get the opportunity and do see it anyway, make sure you watch it because it is a good film. And
brilliant. Yeah,
I think it got nominated for an award recently as well over here, which is pretty good. I think that's one of Giovanna's first ones. She's done a couple of
mm,
films.
mm. Yeah. I mean, I thought the film was brilliant on such an important subject, and
Yeah,
I don't know. I just really like having a group on. It's really nice. I
yeah,
mean, it was the same when you came on with your cast. It's just nice having quite a few people. I don't know. It's just a kind of the format just feels a little bit different when there's a lot more guests on.
yeah,
And Giovanna, it's always nice to have. I mean, she really is friend to the show, isn't she, Giovanna?
yeah.
Yeah,
We have our little fan club as well, like Giovanna and JL and a few
yeah,
other people like Dan.
yeah.
Um,
Could I ask about you? I mean, are you happy to talk about your next film project? I mean, I know it's started yet,
can't
or
say
would you
too
rather
much at the
not?
moment because we're kind of in development at the moment. It's kind of just a concept. Had a few setbacks and everything. I did start working on it before COVID, and we had the long lockdown in Melbourne. We shot a few
Mm.
scenes from it, but it's been rewritten into a feature film now. Um, we are working with an executive producer. We're just in the early stages at the moment of everything. And then we're hoping to maybe shoot next year. Um, and then hopefully release later next year.
Okay, wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, so I'll
Yeah,
hopefully try and get a couple of the cast members on once
mm,
we've done casting and we start shooting and everything.
yeah.
Um,
In your last film, I'm sorry, I'm struggling with showing my age here. I'm struggling with the. Remind me what the title was of your last film?
I miss you.
Oh, I Miss You. Yeah, absolutely
Um,
brilliant. I thought
yeah, done
visually
really
it was
well.
so beautiful. The way I said to that to you at the time, didn't I? The way it was filmed, I just thought it's beautiful, really, and the subject and all the relationships, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. On the topic of that, so, Kira's been in a few projects since then. If you go to I think he'll Flunk TV or something on YouTube. She's just done a film they've just released the second part of the film. I can't remember what it's called. Lost and Found You, I think it's called.
Mm,
She's in that, and she's done quite a few projects since I Miss You as well. Bob's done a few things as well
mm.
since then. We were planning on doing a prequel to the film, but unfortunately, that ended up getting cancelled because one of our leads didn't want to do the prequel because of the topic or the sensitivity of the topic.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's a
But yeah, I Miss
shame.
You's done really well. It's been a year
Mm.
since the premiere. It's on like over 3,000 views on YouTube.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic,
Yeah,
Joe. It's beautiful. I thought the whole
they're
thing.
hoping to have another film out by next year
Yeah,
or sometime next year.
yeah, brilliant.
Um, so maybe away for a few weeks shooting, and then once that's released and everything, I'll share it on my socials.
Mm. I mean, Joe, could I ask you? I mean, just a similar question to the one you asked me a minute ago. Say a little bit about behind the scenes doing the producing and the editing. I mean, what do listeners not see when you're working your tech magic on our
Those
shows?
who know me will know how much I don't enjoy audio editing.
Mm.
So Spotify for podcasters, who we upload this through. I don't want to badmouth too much. They did have it so it was pretty simple to edit and everything, and you can put the file through everything, and it was pretty much the same copy and paste template where you just used the deleted the content from the previous episode and put the new stuff in and just edited where you needed to. Now they've removed that feature, which is annoying. So I now have to use a different feature. I now have to use a different software to do it and then upload it.
Mm.
So
That's annoying.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
fun. So editing is very fun sometimes. Normally it's
Mm.
pretty straightforward.
Mm.
Apart from the fact that I can't edit on my phone anymore, I have to log into my laptop and edit.
Mm.
People may have noticed that there's a few things missing that were in the early episodes. That's when I changed what software I was using,
Mm.
like the not okay bit at the end where you put the
Yeah.
helplines. We will be
Yeah.
adding that back in next season.
Yeah.
We'll add a few new things next season, hopefully, as well with the video side of the
Mm.
podcast, and a few other things on our socials. Some I don't want to spoil too much. I think some little tips and stuff maybe on YouTube Shorts or
Mm.
TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, like a bit more interaction with our listeners and our viewers.
Mm. Mm.
Um, I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, that's pretty much what we have planned at the moment. I don't know if there was any guests you had in mind for season six or anything you can share about season six.
Yeah, I mean, I want to cover. I'm trying to get a guest on from the US. It's a guy called Charlie, he puts a lot of content on social media around resistance training and mental health. He's so busy, and I have reached out to him a few times, but I absolutely love to get him on the content. I mean,
Yeah,
exercise and mental health. I mean, I talk a lot on the show about it. He would be an amazing guest. I've also got another guest, a colleague of mine who said she might come on and talk about kind of movement and, exercise generally and mental health and eating disorders. So maybe maybe we'll get those guests on. I mean, have you got any ideas around? I mean, this we'll obviously talk about in our production meeting, but any ideas for our next season?
not sure at the
Mm.
moment. I think there's some topics that I'd like to cover that we haven't covered before, or
Mm.
some that I'd like to revisit. Perhaps topics where there would like borderline personality disorder. I'd like to
Yeah,
revisit and have it
yeah,
from someone else's perspective.
yeah.
Because obviously everyone's unique and everyone has their own stories.
Mm.
You might have some. Sorry. Oh, I'm coming off the back of a cold, so I do apologise. I might have to
You
stop.
have been quite
Um,
unwell. We'll stop soon anyway, Joe. Yeah,
um, just hearing it from someone else's perspective, some people do have similar traits, but obviously everyone's story is unique.
yeah.
Um, Trying to think what else. Yeah, there's some topics I'd like to cover and some things I'd like to add to season six.
Mm. Mm.
I'm going to try and get it a bit more out there and increase our listeners and our viewers, and we'll see
Yeah.
increase the engagement, get some ideas maybe
Mm.
of what we can do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely trying to, especially the YouTube channel. I'm trying to increase some of the viewers on there. I really want to kind of spread the guests out. I want to, see if we can get some guests in from, different parts of the world, different cultures,
yeah.
so that would be really, really good. Um, yeah, and I've forgotten what I was going to say. Yeah, and also I think I mean, you said I think we're in series when we're halfway through series five that we had a lot of professionals, which is great. I mean, it's always good to have professionals on, but maybe we need to maybe have a few more lived experience guests, and I think
Yeah,
that's probably true, Joe, isn't it? So we'll try and address that
yeah.
in the next
Good to get some
series.
more people in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, is there
So
any topics that you wanted to cover in season six?
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether we have a theme for series six or whether we just have lots and lots of different shows. I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking about it, but I have to say I'm very, very keen to kind of to get going. I mean, I think maybe today, maybe we should finish. But I just have you got any final words for the listeners
Sure.
in terms of the last season?
I just wanted to thank everyone that's tuned in and everything and shared the podcast and listened to the podcast. The guests that we've had on this season have been incredible, as always. thank the people that got us to, I think we're on 6,030 listeners or something altogether,
Wow,
which
brilliant.
is amazing considering where we started and the
Mm,
difference since we've transferred over to audio and video.
yeah.
Um, Obviously, any suggestions or any topics people might want covered, reach out to us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, hashtag psychotherapy unplugged, or on Instagram. I think it's Ambridge Media TSL Films. I'll share that in our bio. Or you can comment on the podcast as well, as I mentioned before. Um, or on Twitter as well. You can reach out to us,
Yeah.
well, X as it's called now.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
also on TikTok as well. So
Mm.
you follow them, you can keep up and see when episodes are coming up or coming out or any content we might bring out. Did you have anything else you wanted to add before?
Yeah, I mean, just finally, just the same as you, Joe. I just want to thank all of our guests for coming on the show. You know, all of our guests from season 5. Again, I can't believe we've just finished season 5, but all of our guests for throughout our whole journey. Really, I mean, we've been so blessed with guests, and thank you so much for our listeners. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't have a show without listeners, and also please do send us comments. You know, if you have suggestions for the show, you have suggestions for guests you want to have on, please just do get in touch, because we really, really enjoy the feedback and, and yeah, and if there's anyone or any particular subject you want covered, then please do let us know. And just thank you for you, Joe, for all the work you do behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I always imagine you sometimes behind the scenes, literally pulling your hair out when you're trying to go and
I also
edit.
want to say thank you as well. Like, I know it, it's been a few seasons before this stuff happened and everything, but saying thank you to Anthony as well for our animation for our
Yeah,
thing, and we're hopefully going to have another animation at the end of the
yeah,
video coming.
exciting.
And to Danny W from Fiverr as well. Her
Yeah,
links are always in our bio for our theme song, which is amazing. Go and check her out on Spotify as well. I'll share her links, which I always do. Uh,
definitely. Yeah, definitely. We're really looking forward to the new animation. And so let's wrap up season 5
yeah,
here, Joe. Nice to see you as always. And
yeah,
season 6 coming soon.
yeah.